Hey guys, how you doing? Ron's a Nut here. Well, I've got the motherboard removed from the my home server. So this is the H55 ITX Wi-Fi ITX motherboard, which has the it's a socket 1155 motherboard, or socket 1156 motherboard, and it has an i7-870 in it. And this is what was my home server in the Lee & case, and now I'm transferring it into the Prodigy case. And right now I'm getting ready to make sure it fits inside of the on the CPU tray, and make sure it fits with the new Swiftech Apogee Drive II pump. So I'm going to take this out and then take a look on how it mounts. Let's see what we got here. We've got here's 3 different mounts for it, and I guess the 1155, 1156 back plate is this one right here. So I've got to pull that out, fit it to the bottom of this motherboard, and make sure that it fits. It comes with some clamps. I guess if you're not going to use compression, it's got some thermal interface material. Has a couple of barbs even with it. That's nice. Then it has a blue disc, a green disc, and I think it comes with a red one. And so here we have, looks like this is the base plate that I need to fit onto the bottom of it. And if you haven't seen one of these, basically this is a pump CPU block all in one. So here's a pump on here. It's got the here's the inlet on this side, and this can be adjusted and rotated to be able to make it fit your tubing, your plumbing easy. And then here's the output. And so I use this. So this case is so compact. I mentioned that I'm filling up these drive bays from my disk drives for the server, and so I've got the motherboard here, and there's really not much space for a pump anywhere. I have a reservoir too I have to figure out how to mount in here, but right now what I'm curious to see is when I mount the base plate for this onto the bottom of the motherboard, can I still get it on this tray, and especially get it so that the ports line out the back of the line up correctly out the back of the I/O plate. So that's what I'm going to check right now. So I'm going to mount it to the bottom of this motherboard, and then we'll test fit it, and I'll show you that as this is right here on the mount here, go into the motherboard, and so the standoff between that, it looks like it'll fit just right. It looks like that the motherboard will fit on here with the Apogee mounted to it. So we're going to see. I'm going to apply it now, and then get some thermal paste, clean off the processor again, and then mount the pump to it, and then get it fitted in the case. So maybe I don't have to mod the bottom of this tray. I had already used alcohol to clean off the chip. So now I'm just going to use some of this thermal material remover with a Q-tip. Make sure it's nice and clean, and then I'll use the thermal surface purifier, and then I'm going to put some MX4 on it. So just going to make sure it's nice and clean. Yep. I mean, even though it looked good, it still picked up some grunge. Okay, all I did is mount the bottom with the adhesive tape. Some of it peeled back so it's lined up into the motherboard, and I just put my fingers on top of the processor chip. Clean it again with a little bit of purifier. Alright, and I'm going to do the line method. One line through the middle of it. Okay, sucker is nice and shiny, untouched. I got to line up where I want my inlet, and that's right here. Okay. Next step is to open up this case some so that I have space. So I got to remove the drive trays, remove the top, or at least that, so I can get access into here, and then see if I can secure the motherboard and truly find out if I do or do not have to modify cutting out a hole in there so that the base of this will make it through. In order to be able to install the radiator and also to clear it out so I can fit the motherboard in there without bumping into anything, I've got to take out the optical drive bay and also take out the drive cages. And then the other thing I'm doing too is I'm replacing this 120 mil fan with a 200, so I've got to get all that pulled out anyway. So I'm going to take the screws out up here and on the other side to remove the optical bay. I think there's a couple on the front too, so I've got to pop off this front panel. Actually, pops off very easily, just a couple of tabs. And it's got a few screws to take out that bay, and then there's some screws on the bottom here to remove for the taking out the bottom mounted card cage, and then I should have it empty enough to test fit the motherboard, and then I'll start working on the fan and the rads and everything else. So we'll step through it as we go. Okay, got the drive trays removed, got the optical bay pull removed, and I'm just going to go ahead and take out the fan now as well. But this case comes apart so easily. What a pleasure to be able to remove things, and nice design. I gotta say, one of the easiest cases to disassemble. Yeah, granted it's small, but so far so good. Really liking working with this case. Alright, let me take out this fan, and that's just 4 screws here. And removed. Now it's time to check and see if motherboard will fit in the on top of the tray and is low enough to be able to fit with the proper positioning of the I/O. So now I'm going to test fit the motherboard onto the motherboard tray and see if the I/O lines up fine. Got the bottom mounted here, and I might need to loosen up some screws, but let's see here. Looks like we're golden. Let's see here. It is just a hair. Oh no, there you go. Okay, I got the motherboard fitted and mounted in there. I wound up it ever so slightly, maybe a mil or 2 mil, maybe. It tilts up, and I could have put the screw in and just torqued it down, but I put a little washer, a plastic washer between this one and the other side, so that the board doesn't, you know, get flexed down, even though it's so tiny. I could have cut out a hole in the middle of this tray, but for that I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's needed. So the I/O fits just perfectly in the back. Everything is mounted just fine and comes through the ports. So yeah, just want to make sure that the motherboard is not flexed poorly in any way. It seems to be just fine, and there's no warp to the motherboard, and everything fits. So next I'm going to mount the 140, the 200 mil fan in the front. Then probably mount some fans to the radiator, and mount it in the roof, and then start planning the loop. Okay, memory installed. Now time to mount the 200 mil fan here, and then the fans on the radiator and into the roof. Okay, next up is NZXT 200 mil fan, and it has a blue LED in it, which looked pretty cool. Although this is a server, it's not really designed for anything, any major talent show and looks. And let's see, we got a couple of different connectors, some splitters for the fan. That's cool. Oh, and look at this, even the leads are braided. That's really nice. So I'm going to mount this fan into the front of the case right here. And we got black and white, so that's cool. That sticks with the theme. And I don't see any hardware in here, so I guess I'm going to be using the hardware that came out. Oh, never mind. I have hardware. Alright, so time to get this fan mounted in the front of this baby. Okay, so I have the 200 mil fan installed in the front of this, but one thing to note is that none of the hole patterns here line up with the 200 mil fan. Now, unless NZXT is doing something different with their mounting locations, I was able to use this one spot down here, and I had to use one of the the vent holes to secure the other one, and that's to get it as centered as I could for the fan. So it comes all the way around through here, and I guess it'll be hitting all of the drive bays, so that's what the important part is. But you would have thought that given all these mounting points that a 200 mil fan would fit on here, and I guess it does, but using the mounting points, I bet you it's probably a 230 mil fan that these points right here will do. So anyway, got it installed, and next is to mount the fans onto the radiator, and then position the radiator in the roof. Alright, now it's time to mount the fans onto the radiator. This is the EX240, XSPC EX240, and with it you get some, looks like you get 1, 2, 3, looks like 8 long screws and 8 short screws. And here's the rad, nice and clean. It'll be mounted down like this. So I need to put some fans. It's going to be a push config, and I'm going to mount it right now and then fit it into the case. Okay, I have the fans mounted to the radiator, and the rad is going to be mounted this way inside the case. See if you can see that. Right up in here. And turns out that the fan header on the motherboard is right to the side, so that's good. And I've got a lot of extra cable here, plus I have 2 connections to make to one on the motherboard, so I'm going to use this splitter and bring it down to the one connection on the motherboard. But then I have tons of red, yellow, and black cable, so I've got some tie wraps and some mounts. I'm going to hide them either down in between the fans or tie wrap them to the back here so that you don't see them from the other side at least. So I'm going to try to make it nice and neat, and then mount the radiator. Okay, got the fans mounted, and was able to loop back the power cord and tuck it down in underneath the shroud area in the rad. So, and then connected up this Y splitter, and so this is the back side of the case where the I/O panel connection is. I mean the front panel, what would be the front panel. So this will be kind of hidden out of the way, mounted, and it should reach down to the bottom of the motherboard without any problem. Actually it does. So so we're getting there. One thing I forgot to do was to flush this radiator. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. For those of you who haven't seen my other videos, this is the setup that I use to flush out my radiators. So what I have here is quick disconnects, coolant's quick disconnects, going into the radiator and then coming out. And I have in here distilled water, and inside the base, and the distilled water is only about up to here. Inside the base I have a pond pump. Let's see if I can show you. Yeah, here's a little pond pump. I picked it up at Home Depot, and you just sit it down on the bottom of the barrel, just like you would if you had it outside in your pump. I forget what model it is, but nothing fancy, and it works just like your pump in your water cooling system in your rig. Except this just happens to take the water flowing into the pump from the distilled water from this bucket, and then pumps it through into the radiator, and then out of the radiator and into a filter. This is just a regular water filter that you get also at Home Depot, and I've used it a number of times. I hardly don't see much at all. Some little black specks, but you never know what's inside these radiators when they make them. There's usually some residue that's laying around, and then so it goes through the filter and it comes back out and then dumps it back into the bucket. You know, the total setup here, cost-wise, these are about $15 each, the fittings, and then the filter was $60 or so maybe at Home Depot, and then the pump was maybe $15, $20. So I don't know, roughly for around $100, $110. But I've done a number of systems, so it pays for me to have the peace of mind that my radiator is nice and clean before I use it. So let's turn it on. I got a little bit of a kink because this is lighter tubing here. Don't know if that'll. And I'm going to let it run for about, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. Yep, good. And I'll take you inside if you want to see it closer. And the air that's coming out is the air coming out of the that end of the system. So here's the return right there. So that's it. Pump into rad, out of rad through filter, and out of filter back into the reservoir here. Okay, I finished flushing the radiator, and went ahead and mounted the extensions now so that I can get the fitting on easier once it's in the case. And I'm going to mount it in the case now. Alright, I have the radiator just tacked in there. I'm going to go ahead and secure it. Just wanted to see what it looked like. Here's the radiator mounted in the right spot. And I think I might have to run the fitting that needs to go in those guys there, so it's easier to install without hitting this fan. So I'm going to go ahead and figure that one out now and mount it, and hopefully won't have to change it. Okay, I have the rad fitted in there, and I put a compression fitting on the extender here, and I also moved the outlet port of the pump block on an angle, but I'm not sure. I might need a 45 here instead. I'm going to take a piece of tubing and see how it looks, but I got a feeling I might have to do that. And also down here, I don't know if you can see, actually let's turn the case, it's so small. And this guy right here, I should have got a 25mm extender. That's a 20, and it was hitting the screw, but I've got 3 screws in on that fan, so I took that screw out instead of having to worry about it, because I think the reservoir is going to go right around here. So if it does, this is where I'm going to need to, that's the return port to the res. So anyway, that's where we stand right now. I'll bring you back in after I figure out exactly how best to run this tube between these 2 points. Okay, I wound up using a 45 here, put a compression on it, and I left the angle that I used on the coming out of the pump block there, and so it made it. That tubing's in there snugly, and we'll see if we have any leaks. This is all the way up to the top, and this one should be good. But anyway, so I've got the put a 45 on here, the compression fitting, ran a piece of tubing. I have the pump output there angled as well, and looks like we have our first tubed up connection. If you can see that okay. Alright, now let's see, power supply I think will be next, and then the drive cages, and then where to fit the reservoir. Actually, probably going to put the drive cages in first and then figure out where I'm going to put the rest. Power supply shouldn't be an issue, but I'll test fit that too. Now for my setup here, this is going to be a server, so I need all the drive bays because I have 4 or 5 drives that I'm going to put in. Now when you put this drive cage back in here, it is tight. It fits, but it definitely has a little bit. It's a tight fit up here, and also some of it is going to block some of the intake for the fan. I have these set up as blowing fan air from in the case to out. Now, but one of the nice things about these is that there is a screw on here, so I can take out this piece that's causing the interference. So I should be able to slide it right in. And I'm going to take this right off of here now. So I'm removing this bracket, and now this guy slides in there, but actually there's nothing securing it down. So I think I might still need to mount this bracket. Yeah, oh no, well maybe it's locked in there. And it's not going to be moved around much. Let me contemplate that, but that gives some more air to come up through there. And yeah. Well guys, I tried to fit the EK multi-option 100 in a couple of places. I mounted it here, hanging off, and it would fit there, but it was too short, and the runs to that, and it also, the main thing, it blocked putting any kind of card in this slot. And I think I'm going to put a video card in it after all, the one I had, just so that I can load it up and all that. And I still have not decided, maybe I would use the RAID controller, but I want to be able to put a card in there. And if I put this bracket, I mounted it here and mount the res there, I can't do that. So I don't want to take away the functionality, be able to use that. So I also looked at mounting the res over here, and it would stick out too far. I couldn't put the cover on. So I'm no longer going to use the EK, but I'm going to use this Swiftech. And this Swiftech reservoir is rectangular, so it's perfect for mounting in here. And I'm going to mount, I think I'm going to mount this EK uni holder up here, and then be able to mount this to it. But if I do that, I'm going to have to mount the hard drives first. I will have some, I'll have to disassemble and take out the reservoir if I ever have to remove a hard drive. So at least that's what it's looking at like right now. So you know, wanting to use both of the hard drive bays is a problem for water cooling this guy, and obviously it has to do with the reservoir. But the two solutions that I have, both this or the tube reservoir, are tight fit. I'm going to look at the other side of the case now too, but right now that's where I stand. Okay, finally came up with something just when I was about to give up. I tried to mount this reservoir all over the place, and I could mount it on the other side, but that's where the panel is for you know, the USB and all that. So to take that off in case I needed to top it off or fill it was going to be a problem. So I wanted to retain the use of this PCI 16 slot and still be able to you know, route the tubing to this side, going into the pump and then coming back to the res. So using the EK mounts, I removed the top mounting bracket that slid underneath this fan, and mounted the reservoir so that I can actually pull it out, fill it, and then I think I'm going to use some Velcro to snug it down in there. But those brackets, it's not going to go anywhere, especially with the panel on the side. And I've got my inlet right here and my outlet right here, and I even have the capability of creating that drain tube that I originally planned for. So it just slowly came to me after figuring out a lot of different ways, and then using those EK uni brackets with the mounting points on this Swiftech reservoir. I think I got a solution. Now it does mean that I won't be able to pull out those drive trays without sliding this out, but depending on how much tubing I use and how well, I might be able to swing things out this way and get the drives out when I need to. Now this is a home server. I won't be using these as hot swap. It's only if I have a problem. So anyway, I think that's the best solution that I can come up with, and I think that looks that's going to look pretty cool. I wish I could put it somewhere where it wasn't impacting anything, but I think this is a good compromise. Those drives won't be removed. Then the OS drive is going to go down here, so I've got my 3 1 terabyte drives, and it's just backing up my my test bed server. I mean my test bed system and my STH10 home system and a laptop. So that should be plenty. And I can always swap those drives out for larger size drives when the drive prices come down some, but or if I need it. So yeah, here it is. This is the plan. So let me start tubing it up and making sure that I can get all the get the tubes and the runs in there, and then it's time to put the power supply in and or at least bleed it, run some coolant in it. So hope you like it. It's starting to come together. Here's a close-up of the mounting of the uni brackets. I just used the screws that come with the Swiftech reservoir, and it's called the Swiftech Micro Rev 2. I use those with, it's got a washer and a lock nut, and then also a washer and a lock nut on the other side. So I mounted them like that. Now if I would have mounted this bracket up the top one, it would have had a problem trying to get both of them in. So this one I can swing in. I can put it up underneath and swing it in and slide it in. So that's the way it's going to go. Okay. Now I've got the fittings put in. See if you can see that. Both of the fittings pointing towards the res. Now I got to cut some tubing, and I also test fitted the video card, and it's a shorter card, so it will fit in here and should not touch this. If not, I'm going to put some more cork on the back of the card like I have on here, so that where it does touch, it won't short anything out. So yeah, next I'm going to tube the connections up and see if they come pretty close or decent to where they need to be. And basically it's going to be, this is the outlet going into the in of the pump, and then this is the return coming out of the radiator back into here. Alright, there it is. The reservoir mounted and secured, so it won't come down over the weight of any coolant. And through the magic of very nice Bits Power rotary fittings, I can actually swing this out so it can be filled very easily and drained. So I don't even think I'm going to put a drain tube in the bottom of this for now. This has turned out just awesome. Yeah, I think she's looking good and able to use all of the features of the all of the drive bays. I can even use the top one if I wanted to, but to put the bracket holder in there, actually I'd have to cut off one of them because it would interfere with these fittings. So, but I don't have a drive for that bay. I have just the ICyDock that has the two 320 gig hard drives for the OS drive is going to go on the bottom. So I think it's time to prime this pump and see if we can do a leak test. That's pretty awesome. That's actually turned out really good. Alright, more to show, especially when it comes to filling it and leak checking it. Hopefully this time around, as compared to my last build, I had a few leaks. This time I don't think I will, but you never know. Okay, I think I've got you with a bird's eye view. Down here, I don't know, you can't see this, but this is the power connector to the pump, and here is the power supply, and the power supply is actually the Seasonic that's going into this thing. You can't see that, it's out of frame right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling this guy up here and check for leaks. I think you can see all of the fitting positions. I mean, obviously there's a stop down here, a plug here. There are the two fittings, the return and the inlet and the outlet down here. So you got fittings coming in here, going down to the block of the pump on the motherboard. Then across the other side there are also two connections, and I'll have to take a look and maybe spin this around. Actually, I can do that right now. Here are the other connections right here, and the fittings to the radiator. So I think we can see everything right here. This is nice. This case is so small you can just spin it around. But I'm going to go ahead and start priming it, and then I'm going to fill it. And let's see if everything goes well. Here I've got one of those little Phobia tiny funnels compared to my other funnel. It's not needed for this. And right now what I'm using is PC Ice. This is Primo Chill PC Ice. It's non-conductive coolant. So that's what's going to go in this. And if I might put a dye in it. Maybe not. Probably not. Maybe something UV. But this is really not going to be exposed. I don't even have a window planned to be cut in the side of this case here. So I think I'm just going to stick with regular just coolant. And right now the key, they said, for this Apogee pump is you need to prime the pump. So I got to make sure that there's coolant in there. Now since I have black tubing, I'm going to fill this guy up and then tilt the case a little bit and make sure. So here we go. Start filling this guy up. Oh, let me get my trusty rag out just in case. Okay, no leakage. Alright, now I'm starting to get up to the fill port here, and that's nice. That's good to see that there's fluid going down below that point. That means there's fluid going into down the hose at least. Let me fill this up some more. Okay, I have some fluid in the funnel. It's not going down here yet. I have no other air valve in here to give it some air. Alright, so we've got fluid. I got some air bubbles coming out. don't know if you can see them. They're coming out of this tube here. There's no leakages anywhere here yet. And I don't know why I keep saying yet. Make sure that this is nice and tight. Yeah. Now there is no power to any part of the motherboard at all. The drives are not connected, so the only thing that's getting any power is the pump. So I haven't turned it on yet, but I will in a minute. Just want to make sure. Alright, I'm going to connect up the pump. I don't have the power supply turned on yet. Alright. Good. I got the power leads connected. Alright. Alright, I have a pump connected. Power ready to go. Let's see if this thing cavitates. Let's see if I can do this without reaching across the screen. I think I can. Yeah. I hear it. I hear fluid coolant starting to move. That's not too bad. Pretty quiet pump. I'm curious to hear what it sounds like when it's under regular. Let's see. Pump's going. Good. Good. I hear fluid making its way through. And I'm checking for leaks right now. First cut, just the pump working. Let's turn it around. There's nothing here. Nothing coming out of here. Nothing going in the rad. Nothing down here. So far, so good. Everything's looking good. All right, I have to get it back in position. All right, pump connected back up. More coolant. And power. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, the radiator is sucking it up. Again, I guess no, paper towels probably would be a good idea, but I'm confident now. I know there's no leaks so far. All right. Well, more coolant. All right, let's get the pump going. This thing's sucking up some coolant, although it's only a 240. Now this little pump is pretty strong. Look at that. Come on, let's go. All good. So far, all's good on the leak front. Nothing's leaking. A lot of air. I'll have to move this guy around once I put the stop plug back in the top of this. You definitely hear that pump. Not as quiet as a D5, although it is a pulse modulated with a PMW pump, so when I have the motherboard on, it will regulate how fast that pump runs at. Alright, what do you think? It's enough for now. I used about half of this. I used about half of the PC ice. Alright, let's get some air bubbles maybe moving. But for now, I'm going to let it run for a while and move it around. Should work some of the air bubbles out. All right. Yeah, it's one thing I don't like though, is hearing the pump. With the side panels on, and in my office, we'll see. Kind of got a little bit of a high whine. It's also in a small system. Maybe when I put the side panels on, you may not hear it so much because they're pretty thick panels. Alright, well that's it for right now. Let's get some more air out of it. And then the next step is to put in the power supply down at the bottom there. And then cable the power to everything. And I think maybe that's where I'll stop. I still have to load the operating system and configure it and all that, but the build is almost done here. So we'll see how she does, and then I'll have to report back some temps. But before I cable everything up, one of the things that I said I'd show you is the ICyDock 2.5 inch to 3.5 inch SATA or a hard disk or a SSD converter. Basically, it takes two 2.5-inch hard drives or SSDs, and built within it is a RAID chip. So you can have your drives in a RAID configuration inside of this. And so what I have here, this is the unit, and I'm not going to take it apart. I had it in my home server before. It's got two 2.5-inch 320 gigabyte laptop hard drives. Basically, they're the small guys that you would get and put in a laptop. And you see here on this dial, now you can see it, but there's different settings, and there's even a table here. And basically, mine is currently set on setting 3, which is a RAID 1 configuration. You can also have a RAID 0 config. So basically, you have 2 drives already in a RAID configuration inside of this one 3.5-inch form factor. So what I did is, to have some redundancy and to save space, I put those 2 hard drives in here on RAID 1. So if one of the these OS drives dies, the other one picks up. And of course, I also will be backing up the server as well. But so basically, that's it. And, you know, all this thing does, it does open it up, and there's 2 drives that sandwich in, and then but they have the one SATA connection here, and I don't think it has a fan in it. No, but it's and there's a little light that that lights up on here as well. I think it also may show hard disk activity. But I'm going to go ahead and mount it inside of here, just like another hard drive. And then I'm going to finish cabling up the system. So this is the ICyDock. It's an MB982SPR-2S. And this is what it looks like. I forget how much it was. But it's nice, sturdy, heavy-duty construction. And I had it for over a year and a half, and never had any problems with it. So anyway, gonna give it a shot now and install it into the bottom slot here of the Prodigy, and then cable and power this guy up. Okay, I've got all of the hard drives power connected. I've got the power supply installed, and it's nice that they gave you the space over here, because that's the only place that you're going to be able to coil up your power cables. You do have space on the other side, but since that's the access side, I kind of hit them all over here. And they all reach just fine. Main power, 4-pin motherboard power, the ATEX power. I still have to run the SATA cables, but I only run one to load the OS on it. Then once that's all loaded up, then I'll add the SATA cables for the other stores. I guess I could cable them up, but just not plug them in. And she's pretty close to being power on self-test. Yeah, just, I don't think this looks any different over here. I'm going to put in the video card next. So the video card will go in, and yeah, we're ready to fire it up. Okay, I have the video card installed now, and now I've got to install the I/O panel. I used some color coding for the disk drives that are going to be in the store. Those are the blue, and then the main OS, the ICyDock, is going to be the orange one. So the ones I had, the cables I had in the other system, so I'm going to continue to use them. They'll be hidden away back here anyway, nobody's going to see them. And they work. So right now, I/O panel. This panel here has USB 3.0, high def audio, the AC97, USB 2.0, which we will be using, and the LEDs and power connections. So I need to snake those through. Some of them go to the front over there, so I'm going to snake some of these guys through, and then the rest connect up, and hopefully be able to turn the system on. Well, there she is, all put together, video card installed, and ready to be connected up to a system, and BIOS configured, and hopefully start loading OS. So I'll take a few more shots of the build around it, and that'll be it until I actually get everything loaded and configured and check the cooling and everything. But I'll do one more pass here. Well, here's a final look before I button it all up. That's the front of the Prodigy with 200 mil NZXT fan with some blue lights that you'll see when I power it up. This is the audio cable here, the one that's the tightest. That runs all the way across to the other side of the motherboard. So that is the one that actually had to take a direct shot. All the rest you see I have color coded the cables coming off of the data drives. Then the orange one is the one coming off of the system drive and the ICyDock, that's RAID. And then they go into that nice little area there on the side where I've got all the power cables all bundled up. And then the other cables across are some of the power cables, power to the 4-pin, and then you have the cables that go on to the other side, which are the LED and reset and power switch, everything coming off of this connector here. So, and then this is the two fans connected coming down to the motherboard, and pretty much that's this side of the case here. And you'll see that the fittings coming down out of the actually going in, it comes out of the pump block and goes up into the radiator, and then the other side it comes down, and I'll show you that. So yeah, it's kind of cramped and busy in here, but because of the tight run of the cablings to this panel here, I don't have any extensions. That's the way it's going to be. So not as neat and organized as some of the other builds because of the tight space and the short cables. On this side we have the finished product. You can see now the out of the radiator going into the reservoir, the Swiftech res, and then of course the input of the res going down into the pump. And we have the his video card just for when this thing is being set up now and checked out as a without being connected through the network in the dashboard. And then you have the ICyDock RAID OS drive, and then you have 3 1TB Samsung spin rights. And then the nice job of this awesome reservoir that I'm actually going to top off. But the beauty of this motherboard and that Apogee tube pump is that it's connected to the motherboard CPU fan, and as it's a pulse modulated with pump, so that if it needs to have some additional cooling, where it normally would spin up the fan faster, it actually tells the pump to pump faster, which in turn then moves the coolant through quicker. And so when I first had this powered up, not through the motherboard, the pump was running at full speed and you can hear it a little bit, and I didn't like that, but now it runs hardly at all. I'm going to turn it on now so you can see it, but I'm going to... Okay, let me get this front panel on here. Alrighty, now I'm going to turn on the server, and then I'll zoom you in on the pump so you can see what kind of action it gets. You might be able to hear it too. The main sounds are the fans, the General Typhoon fans. The front fan is hardly, you can hardly hear it at all. Now you can see there's some action going on in the pump, in the reservoir, but nothing like it was when it's on full bore. Well, there it is. the finished water-cooled Windows home server for Ron's and Nut. Starts out with the Swiftech micro res, and coming out of the bottom through those BitFenix dual rotary fitting into the Apogee Drive II combination water block and pump. You can't see it because it's hidden behind that HIS video card. And it comes out of the pump and goes up into the XSPC EX240 slim radiator, which has two General Typhoon AP15s on them, and then comes back out right there of the comes out of that extension fitting down through that right angle fitting and back into the reservoir. And that res, of course, is mounted on my unique bracket swivel, so that I can pull it out and top off that reservoir, top off the coolant, and maintain it. And I actually can move those brackets out and actually get to the hard drives too. So turned out to be a pretty elegant solution, I think. Then I can put the side on and take one last look. And it does have that blue light, but the white front of the case, probably in my office when it's dark you'll see the blue light emanating. We'll see if I can show that, but this is more for functionality and cooling than it is for show. So let me put the side on. Well, there it is in low light with the front on. From the side you get the green LED from the motherboard, and then the other half bathed in blue from the and then on this side all you get is the power on and hard disk activity LED. So that's the server. Let's get some more light on it. Well, that's it. Another water-cooled system with no real case modifications required on this one. Just some creative mounting of the reservoir in order to be able to use all of the functionality of the case. The only thing that was removed was the optical drive tray, so I could fit the 120 by 2, the XSPC 240 radiator in the top. And here are here's the information on the water-cooled Windows home server. The processor is an Intel Core i7-870 running at stock voltages and stock speed of 2.93. All 4 cores active. And real temp showing the current average temp of the processor at about 29-30 degrees C. This is at idle, and the ambient temperature in this room is 28 degrees, so it's running about 2 degrees warmer than ambient. That's it from Ron's and Nut. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like, and if you're so inclined, subscribe. And that's it for now. For another custom water-cooled system. Thanks.